Hi, everybody. Welcome to Baphomet's Lounge. And today I'm going to do something that I started in my coronavirus isolation diaries, and a lot of people really dug, and that's when I talked about my, a lot of music and my top 10 favorite bands. If you haven't had a chance, I covered Halloween, Gordon Lightfoot, and Pink Floyd, and Queen in the coronavirus isolation diaries. Today we're going to do another one of the bands that I listened to while driving around in Jaffa's 1975 Cutlass Supreme back in the 80s, Metal Church. Metal Church, the only church will you be the sacrifice. And I was with these guys since day one, year one, because at the time, 1985, the very first Metal Church album had been released, and Jaffa was like, yo, check these guys out. And molten metal, okay? Molten. These guys are balls out molten metal. I'm telling you. You have to get the first album, Metal Church, Metal Church. It's just punky, bashes out right out of the top with Beyond the Black, right, and then right into Metal Church, their title track. Merciless onslaught, 2 minutes and 55 seconds of instrumental nutsness into Gods of Wrath, man. Hitman, In the Blood, My Favorite Nightmare, Battalions, and then they end it with their ripping version of Highway Star. This is blistering. Fantastic album, a must-have. Just take it from the top. We couldn't wait. 86, they come out with their second album, which was called The Dark. And this one is stellar, but they started wanting to get into some production stuff, trying to get a better sound maybe or whatever, because the first one's raw and raunchy, and I love it. But maybe, record labels or producers started talking to them. But this one comes out with Ton of Bricks, Start the Fire, probably one of my favorite songs, Method to Your Madness, Watch the Children Pray, Over My Dead Body, The Dark, the title track, Psycho, Beyond the Line of Death, and then Burial at Sea and Western Alliance. And then something strange happens. 3 years goes by, and a new album comes out. And it's called Blessing in Disguise. And this is my favorite Metal Church album. All of a sudden, Kurt Vanderhoof leaves. He's not in the band, but he is in the band. And he wrote a lot of stuff. John Marshall joins. And David Wayne, the lead singer, leaves. And they get this cutesy guy, Mike Howe, and the big problem with this album, it's a stellar album, but there's a lot of production issues in the sense that they really try to do all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the mix I just don't care for, that they were just following an 80s trend at that time, like, oh, you got to have the kick sound like this, you got to have the snare drum sound like this, and really, that's about the only bad thing about it. But Fake Healer, Rest in Pieces, Of Unsound Mind, Anthem to the Estranged, Badlands, my favorite Metal Church song of all time, The Spell Can't Be Broken, It's a Secret, Cannot Tell a Lie, and The Powers That Be. And, whoa, you know what I mean? You're like, whoa. And it took like 3 years. Then, 2 years later, they released The Human Factor, 1991. It took me a while to wrap around this album. It's of the first five, it's my least favorite, but time has really gotten this one to me. The Human Factor, Date with Poverty, The Final Word, In Mourning, In Harm's Way, In Due Time, Agent Green, Flee from Reality, Betrayed, and The Fight Song. Really a great album. The fifth album in 93 was Hanging in the Balance. And everyone dumps on this album because they were on Joan Jett's record label, Blackheart Records. And the album cover is dorky. All right, the album cover just makes no sense. But it is amazing, this album. This album is amazing. Gods of Second Chance, Losers in the Game, Hypnotized, No Friend of Mine, Waiting for a Savior, Conductor, Little Boy, Down to the River, End of an Age, which is like another one of my favorite songs, Lovers and Madman, and A Subtle War. So this was the first album that they'd been dropped from the major label. I think they were on MCA. They put out this, and after that, the band breaks up, and you don't hear anything from them. And around 1998, they released a live album from old tapes from, it's just called Metal Church Live. They found these old tapes from the David Wayne era, and they released it, and it's great. It's raw. It's that era, and I was like, whoa, where did that happen? I think, did I buy this? Yeah, I bought this at a record show in '99, and then in '99 they released their first studio album in 6 years, Masterpiece, and they return with David Wayne. And I remember because I was on mp3.com at the time. That was sort of the the company that was, releasing songs and whatever, and they released something, and wow, what a brilliant album. No, let me take back. The single they released was Into Dust, which is another one of my favorite songs, but the album is kind of mixed. It's okay. There was some tension within the band. And then what had happened was David Wayne immediately leaves, and he releases an album called Wayne. The album's called Metal Church by his solo band, Wayne. And it really was pissed a lot of people off. The album cover, it kind of looks like the first album and all that stuff. It really pissed a lot of people off. I got it. It's all right. It's not bad. And then David Wayne gets killed in a car accident. So 1999's Masterpiece. 2004, they release a new album, The Weight of the World. Okay? They got their third singer, Ronnie Monroe. And Kurt Vanderhoof is back. Okay? And up until that time, the only person that had played on every album was, or appeared on or whatever, was Kirk Arrington, the drummer. And of the three singers that Metal Church has had, Ronnie Monroe is my least favorite because he's stacked up against two stellar singers. Okay? But he does an admirable job as the lead singer of this band. And in 2004, they come out with a new album, The Weight of the World, and it's excellent. Leaving Behind is great. Weight of the World, Hero Soul, Madman's Overture, Sunless Sky, Cradle to Grave, Wings of Tomorrow, Time Will Tell, Bomb to Drop, and Blood Money. And actually, Jay Reynolds, who played in a band called Malice, was joined. It's kind of a little bit of a super group, but Kurt Vanderhoof is definitely in charge. And what had happened is Kurt disappeared and decided, I'm going to work at the studio. I'm going to be a studio guy. And spent time learning production. And this is start of what I would consider the Vanderhoof era, where he took over stuff. And I actually got a phone call from Kurt Vanderhoof. No, not this one. Not this one. Or did I? I bought a copy. Oh, no, not this one. I know which one I did get a phone call off. But this was the first Metal Church show I ever saw. November 24th, 2004, at the Icon in Buffalo. It was the day before Thanksgiving. Rocky, Sex Martin, and my buddy Scott Davis went. And Kirk threw a drumstick, and I caught it. I was like, yeah! I mean, there was like 20 of us in the audience. There was nobody there. And it was like one of those where they didn't even get on stage till after midnight. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of, sad, but they played like nobody's business. I got autographs. They opened up with a ton of bricks, Start the Fire. Then they did Leaving Behind from the new album. Then they did Watch Your Children Pray, which Billy and I went nuts. They did Battalions of Dark, Cradle to Grave from the new album. They did Date with Poverty, which is off of Human Factor. They did Madman's Overture off the new album. And then they did Badlands. And Ronnie Monroe, I flipped. And Ronnie Monroe singing right in my face. I mean, there was barely anybody there. And I'm like singing at him, God in heaven. It was fucking great. And Gods of Wrath, Beyond the Black, Metal Church. And they did Highway Stars and Encore. And, it was a cherished night for me. And then in 2005... I saw them when they were the opener for Wasp and LA Guns at the Club Infinity, and the set list was Ton of Bricks, Start the Fire, Leaving Behind, Battalions of Dark, and Metal Church. and done, which really bummed me out, because I would have loved to see a longer set, but at the time, so at that time I'd only seen him twice with Ronnie Monroe. And so then they, after that, they release another studio album, A Light in the Dark, and 2006, and it's good. The interesting thing about it is they do Watch the Children Pray, that Ronnie Monroe sings, so they do a bunch of new stuff. It's all right. It's good. It's consistent. Nothing cracking my skull in, but it doesn't suck. And the version of Watch the Children Pray, like I say, David Wayne had died. He was killed, I think, around this time, or prior to this album, and they dedicated it to him. And Ronnie Monroe does a very good job of it. It's quite an impressive job. And then they do This Present Wasteland in 2008. It's all right. Nothing happening there. And then there's an announcement that they've broken up again. And nothing. I was like, what? Nothing until 2013. Generation Nothing. And they now align with Rat Pack Records. And this is where it is. They have something where you can buy the record and get it autographed. They can get these bundles. And I ordered a phone call with Kurt Vanderhoof. And it was really cool to talk to him. Generation Nothing is a true return to the first album form. It's like Kurt decided, let's go back to the rawness of the first album. And this is excellent. It's not as good as the first album, but the title track, Generation Nothing, is stellar. So Bulletproof, Dead City, Generation Nothing, Noises in the Wall, Jump the Gun, Suicidity, Scream, Hits Keep Coming, Close to the Bone, and The Media Horse. And this is a really good album. And I saw this tour. I saw this at the Montauk Music Hall in Rochester, and the sound was awful. Went with Billy and Rocky. There was a problem. And I saw that they were doing the Human Factor on that tour, but they cut it out, and they were probably because they're pissed off because the sound was so jizz. But they opened up with Ton of Bricks, Start the Fire, the usual twosome there. Generation Nothing, The Dark, A Light in the Dark from the last couple albums. Fake Healer, which is great. Badlands, yes. Gods of Wrath, Dead City from the new album, Mirror of Lies, Watch Your Children Pray, Beyond the Black, Metal Church, and then end with Highway Star. And then, all of a sudden, it's announced that Ronnie Monroe leaves. I'm like, here we go again. 2016 comes out. It's 11. They connect back with Mike Howe. Mike Howe retires from the music business. He marries a young lady who actually is a professor in a college, so he becomes a stay-at-home dad. And 11, another thing from the, I bought it off a Rat Pack, autographed, and got the bundle, came on my 46th birthday, the official release date, March 25th, 2016. And I got the double disc set. And this is a return to form with Mike Howe. Reset, Killing Your Time, No Tomorrow, I think was a single they released. Signal Path is great. Sky Falls In, Needle and Suture, Shadow, Blow Your Mind, Soul Eating Machine, It Waits, Suffer Fools. Fantastic. And in the bonus disc, they add a couple of songs. They add The Coward, Blister Fist, God Hit, The Enemy Mind. They do a radio edit of Signal Path. They do a re-recording of Badlands, which is excellent. Shadow, a demo, and then No Tomorrow, an alternate version of it. I saw this tour, again, at the Montauk Music Hall, which sucks moose dong. That place is just a dump. And they drag everybody and their sister's band to open. So there's 50 openers, then whatever Metal Church brought in. But man, they open up with Fake Healer. They do In Mourning. They do Start the Fire. They do Reset. They do Gods of Second Chance. Date with Poverty. No Tomorrow. Watch the Children Pray. They do You're No Friend of Mine, which is fucking amazing. Killing Your Time. Beyond the Black. Then they do Badlands and The Human Factor. And it was just like, shoot me now. that was a stellar show. And then they release a live album called Classics Live. As far as I'm concerned, it was live in the studio, because I've watched, there's no ambient crowd noise, or if it was recorded live, they got no crowd noise. They must have recorded it from the soundboard. But they had Mike Howe overdub his vocals, because he's quite pitchy live. If you watch some of the other stuff, like, Live at Wacken or whatever like that. So they released that, and it's okay. 2018, they come out with Damned If You Do. More Mike Howe. Really great album. Damned If You Do, The Black Things, By the Numbers, Revolution Underway, Guillotine, Rot Away, Into the Fold, Monkey Finger, and Out of Balance. Now, did I think that I could have swore that there was a bonus disc with that? Was there? No. Then it would have to be... No, there was a bonus disc, because they do Fake Healer. I've got to double check. My database is wrong. They did Fake Healer. They re-recorded that with Todd Laporte, who is now with Queensryche. He was with, who the hell was he with beforehand? One of those, Crimson Idol, I believe. Crimson Idol? I'm thinking that's Todd Laporte. And then in 2020, they release From the Vault, which is like a bunch of new studio tracks, 4 new studio tracks, Dead on the Vine, For No Reason, Conductor, a re-recording of Conductor from the Hanging in the Balance album, Above the Madness. Then they do 5 songs from the Damned If You Do sessions. They were B-sides, so Mind Thief, Tell a Lie version, False Flag, Insta Metal, and 432 Hertz. And then they do a bunch of cover songs. They do Please Don't Judas Me, Nazareth off of Hair of the Dog, Green Eyed Lady from a band called Sugarloaf, Black Betty from Ram Jam, and then 2 live albums from Japan, or 2 live songs from Japan, Agent Green and Anthem to the Estranged. And consistency. Kurt Vanderfoof, like I said, has taken control of the band since then, and there is a level of quality delivery in the recording. Kurt, since he did the studio stuff, really tried to get focus on the studio stuff, and really tried to also be very organic in the recording process, which brings me to a couple of his solo CDs and other stuff that he's worked with. He released 2 solo CDs, Vanderhoof in 98 and A Blur in Time in 2002, both under the name Vanderhoof. Very punky-ish, no, not punky, but like a harder Deep Purple. And this is what he did, because using that template, while he was releasing the Metal Church stuff, he released in 2006 another project called Presto Ballet. And that first album, Peace Among the Ruins, in 2006, is a must have. It is one of the few perfect albums, and one of the rules that he said was, I want to go back to the bands that I really admired of the prog, hard prog, like the Kansases, the Rushes, all that stuff. But he said, we play live. We do we did like real Hammond B3s. We did no tape loops or anything like that. This is us playing real instruments. And Peace Among the Ruins, title track just starts. I mean, just comes in kicking, leaving dead bodies. The Fringes, Seasons, Find the Time, Speed of Time, Sunshine, Slave, and Bringing It On. That album is phenomenal. Every album since then, which has been 2008's The Lost Art of Time Travel, 2011's Visible Places. Also, there was an EP that he did in 2011, Love What You've Done with the Place. And then in 2012, they released another EP called Relic of a Modern World. And then finally in 2018, they released their last studio album called The Days Between. All of which are good. They just are nothing compared to the 2006's Peace Among the Ruins. So I have a lot of love and respect for Kurt Vanderhoof. I really think that, he took the roles. He said, I'm done touring. I'm done partying and stuff. I want to learn how the studio shit works, and did it and got into writing. And when the time came back to take over the reins, he's done a stellar job of it. And I'll tell you a funny story. I'll leave you with the very first time I saw Metal Church, which was at the Icon. There's a band called 3 Inches of Blood that opened for them. Out of Montreal, if memory serves. The guys looked like they should have been in a Grateful Dead tribute band. They just had beards and sort of... they just did not look metal, okay? But they played metal, and they just were like, brrr, and, but they looked nothing like metal. They're just bearded, looked like they, were in a jam band. But the funniest thing about it is, as they're playing metal, there's like 5 guys. There was another singer in the band. He wasn't the lead singer. He was a blonde-haired dude. He was kind of a good-looking dude. He had a short haircut. Again, they didn't look like it. And where everyone stood forward, he stood with us on the side, facing the side of the stage. He had a microphone. He started leaning like this. And he would just be like, the band's jamming, and all of a sudden he'd go like, bah! He would just scream. It was the funniest thing ever. Just the most out-of-place band I ever saw, that 3 Inches of Blood. Definitely something different on November 24th, 2004, the day before Thanksgiving. And so there you have it, folks. Another one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time, Metal Church, a band that just keeps coming back from the dead, so to speak. And for that, I'm glad. I would love it. In my phone conversation to Kurt, he actually talked about getting the original master tapes, or the original tapes too, like Hanging in the Balance and A Blessing in Disguise, and remixing it without all the studio flim-flammery of the 80s, using drum triggers and stuff like that. And that would be great. I would love to hear those mixed, in my opinion, properly. So do yourself a favor, go listen to the first 5 Metal Church albums from start to finish. Those are a must listen to. After that, you can go explore the other ones, but Generation Nothing, 11, Generation Nothing's a must. 11 is a must. And Damned If You Do and From the Vault, those 2 are excellent. But the first 5, just listen to them, learn them, memorize them, make them part of your vocabulary, because it's stellar. It is stellar. Okay, everybody. So that's about it. Please stay safe. Please wear the mask. It's no big deal. In the end, it's not that bad. Life could be worse, and it looks like it's getting worse because people aren't wearing masks or practicing social distancing. So just don't be a douche. Just wear the fucking mask. It's no big deal. Okay, everybody. Peace.